What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Healthspan Academy. I'm your host, Craig Shearhart, and joining me today is Dr. Sebastien Lomas, who is a biological dentist. He started his academic career at the Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Loughborough University, and then went on to get a Bachelor of Dental Surgery and Dentistry from University of Central Lancashire. He's the co-founder of Wonder of Wellness, and he's a biological dentist with the Portman Dental Care Institute. So today is all about all things oral hygiene and helping your teeth last as long as the rest of your body does. Dr. Seb, thanks so much for joining me today, man.
That was an amazing introduction. So thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be here. And I hope some of the knowledge that I can share can give some super good nuggets for people to keep their teeth a lifetime, because that is literally my goal. Healthy, functional teeth, right?
Amazing. Yeah, likewise. And I'm hoping I can pick up more than you do over the talk today. So I want to start this off with the topic of oral microbiome. I think a lot of people are familiar with this, thinking about the gut, and then there's obviously similarities and differences. And I think it gets overlooked, and I'm guilty of this too. I think when you put something in your mouth, and as long as you don't swallow it, you think like, okay, it's no big deal, but it's being exposed to your system through the microbiome. So talk about that role and how it's similar to gut biome and how it's sort of unique.
Yeah, I mean, the question is chicken or the egg, right? What feeds what? Is it the mouth or is it the gut? And, of course, me being a dentist is going to say, it's the mouth. You've got to start with the mouth.
For sure. Yeah.
But it's very much the same, like you say. So the way that I look at it is we have an open environment for bugs to thrive or not thrive and in the mouth, and we have the perfect tools to feed them or not feed them. And it's everything in the mouth is a dynamic balance. It's like an equilibrium that goes either one way or the other. And you want to always be pushing it to the way that is positive, good microprobiotics that actually benefit our health and impact us, not, the other way. And the thing is, whatever the microbiome balance is, it's compounded by other things that could be inflammatory to our system, like, for example, gum disease or inflammation in the gums that, can cause leaking, bleeding gums, which then allows those bugs, whichever ones are in the mouth, to have a direct access to our bloodstream. Right. And of course, what do microbes want to do? Proliferate, renew, repair, keep going. So they go for the glucose, right? And the glucose comes from our blood. So, if we have a better microbiome and we have leaky gums, we're going to have less inflammation in the body. But if we have dental disease, dental decay, dental dysbiosis and microbiome dysbiosis, and we have leaky gums, then that's going to, even conventional dentistry now is looking at just gum disease as a unit and saying, well, that causes diabetes, that causes, neurological conditions such as Alzheimer's and dementia. It causes pulmonary problems because we're breathing that in every day. And of course, the cardiovascular problems such as strokes and heart attacks and things that are just quite scary. But we have the tools to influence our microbiome every day. What we drink, what we eat, how we brush, what we look after ourselves. That oral hygiene habits that we have as well. So, and we want to be using them to push into the right way, the positive way. I can be really smart and say there's a few bugs that we don't want in the mouth, like Porphyromonas gingivalis, which causes gingivitis, which is gum disease. Yeah. So you can do nowadays testing to see what bugs are in your mouth. But actually, what's the point in that if you're going to change your routine anyway? You may as well change things. And then if things aren't getting better, go to someone that can functionally test for these things.
Start with a general template of what we know is probably going to get you in the right direction and then kind of fine tune from there.
For the average person, right? It's free information that you can go and do. And if things improve, great. If they don't, spend a bit more money and look into it, right?
Yeah. That's a very smart way to look at it. So obviously what we're putting in the mouth is going to impact the pH levels and the microbiome. You hear a lot more about toothpaste selection and kind of conventional, kind of big, I think big dogs in the toothpaste industry, or maybe not. Maybe they're adapting, maybe they're not. I haven't really been following a whole lot, but what do you recommend typically for finding the ideal kind of natural, effective toothpaste when people start to shop around?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing as well, isn't it? Because if the plaque content in the mouth is positive, like probiotics, good for dental disease, well, you'd call it dental oral health, wouldn't you? If it's good for that, then actually plaque's not a bad thing because it can support remineralization of our teeth and it can use the minerals from the saliva to shuttle them into the cells and the enamel prisms. So, but, and then by that, I mean, if you have a good whole food diet, right, which we all look for, and eating balanced of everything. And if we're drinking water predominantly for most of the day, and of course my rules in life is 90-10. I live so focused on my health for 90% of the time, and 10% of the time you need that relaxation mentally.
That lifestyle balance.
Yeah. Otherwise you burn out, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You burn out.
Yeah.
But so that's the foundation. And then of course the things that we put in our mouth not only influence the microbiome, and within the toothpaste themselves, obviously fluoride is the one that everyone's talking around. And we know now that we can replace that with a more natural mineral called hydroxyapatite, which is actually the actual mineral that's found in our enamel. So if we think of the tooth crystal, it has an enamel layer, it has a dentine layer, and then it has the pulp in the middle, which is the nerve and blood supply. Yeah. And that enamel layer is actually hydroxyapatite crystals. Right. So if we can use a toothpaste with that in, then remember that dynamic equilibrium, either teeth are dissolving or they're remineralizing. Right. So you want to be influencing it to the remineralization process. And what fluoride does is it combines with your hydroxyapatite layer and creates fluorohydroxyapatite, which is very strong. Don't get me wrong, it's a strong substance. But then you've got to combine that with the risk rewards with how does that affect your overall system? Right. Does it have other effects within the system? And, more research has shown, yes, it is nowadays, right? So I try and live a minimally invasive, minimally toxic life to try and increase my overall cellular systems, to focus on energy, mental capacity. And so if I know I can use a more natural substance and I don't have the dental disease, then actually, why wouldn't you? And,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was first introduced with hydroxyapatite, previous life bioengineering, and it was like used in orthopedics for injecting into bone because it's like biocompatible. So it's cool to see the overlap coming into dentistry, and it makes total sense to me based on what I know about it. So super cool, awesome. I guess partner to the toothpaste is the brush, and what you hear more about is people pushing electronic brush. And I've noticed a big difference since I have moved to electronic. I kind of put it off for years and years, and just eventually my hygienist just got in my ear enough to make me switch. And it's been a big change for me. Is that typically the direction you recommend people go? And how do you decide on a good brush?
Yeah. Well, what's the one that you've used to switch to, by the way?
Sonicare.
Yeah. And that's what I have, to be honest with you. I think that's like the market leader in terms of like the best, is what they say. Yeah. I've had all of them because obviously companies throw them at me, and I've tried them. Yeah. And for me, Sonicare is the best electric toothbrush. The reason being is because it just vibrates ultrasonically, but it actually vibrates enough to, those bacteria we're talking about, Porphyromonas gingivalis, they have like these spirochete tails on them that the vibration of the ultrasonic vibrates so much to chop them off the body so they can't move, which is really interesting. So that's on the microscopic level, it's wild, isn't it? That's crazy. So that's one positive reason for it. Yeah. The other positive reason for it is that when you're brushing your teeth, you actually brush them using the normal motion, the manual motion, but you've got the ultrasonic capacity in there as well. Right. So I typically say, you can get both results, manual or electronic. You can get the same results. The problem is you have to be more efficient with manual. Right. So you can be less efficient and get a better result with more easily, right, with the electric toothbrush. And Sonicare is my favorite one. Obviously, the other one is the pulsating, rotating, not ultrasonic, but Oral-B type ones. Okay, yeah. And those ones... they're easy because you just hold it on the tooth. You don't really do anything else, right? Yeah, the lazy man's brush. The lazy man's brush. But my problem with it is that it does put a lot of pressure on the gum line. And obviously we've talked a lot about the gum line already and how I prefer my teeth to be super sealed to my gums. Yeah. So there's no leakage into the system. So I definitely agree with it. And there's another one of my favorites is a brush called the Curaprox, which is like this German Swiss engineering type one, which is like the way I describe it is it's like a microfiber cloth, but with the bristles and the toothbrush. So you've got like 7,000 bristles in there, right? So you feel like you're not even brushing your teeth. Yeah. You do it at the normal time and they're squeaky clean and it's a manual brush. So they're pretty cool. Very cool.
Amazing. So let's talk a little bit about foods. I know you've posted a little bit about foods that can cause trauma. Is it basically just the hardness of the food? Is there certain I guess serratedness that we need to worry about? Are those the kind of the danger foods specifically like can cause structural issues and trauma? Or what do you recommend in terms of that?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you've obviously got the trauma to the gums and the cracking and breaking of the teeth, but also you've got the remodeling positively of the bone. So you want like a
little bit of load. Yeah,
absolutely. Right. But you don't want to be stupid about things. You don't want to be biting into cherries with the pips in them. You know, you don't want to be exerting 700 newtons of force down one tooth.
Yeah. And you don't want to be ready for it.
Yeah. But carrots, nuts and seeds, go for it. They're the things that we want to be chewing. And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because obviously back in when our hunter-gatherer days, when we would easily get all 32 teeth in our mouth with no problem at all, we would be chewing on bones probably and eating off the carcasses, right? And those things are what grow and develop our teeth. But at the same time, we were
living till 30, right? And who knows what happened after that. Yeah.
They'll probably kill, especially the men, the ones going out and hunting.
Yeah.
But it was, so I definitely agree that you should have a hard food diet and you shouldn't be cooking soft foods and eating soft foods all the time.
Right.
But, equally the jaw growth and development is also to do with where the tongue position is. Is it into the roof of the mouth? Is it when you swallow, is it pushing outwards into your teeth and holding that pressure outwards instead of like the negative pressures pulling it in?
Yeah.
Like swallowing and sucking or using your facial muscles to help you swallow.
Yeah.
And all these small things might seem trivial, but when you're actually doing it 800 times a day, at least, by the way, swallowing, that builds up.
Sure. Absolutely. That's wild. Cool. I want to shift a little bit into something that I've been guilty of probably not making wise choices. Now I'm more learning on it, is mouthwash. So, and basically it used to be kind of universal. The dentist was like brush and rinse and brush and rinse. And now that's the doctrine's starting to change. And I feel like the more you hear about it, the more you realize it's doing more damage than good. What is it specifically? Is it you're throwing off the microbiome? Is it that we're maybe creating more opportunities for plaque to build up an excess? Or what is the thing that we need to worry most about when we talk about mouthwash?
I think it's going back to the microbiome balance in the mouth, like we talked about at the beginning. And it depends on the mouthwash. I use a very natural essential oil mouthwash that is more, because if you've got the really strong alcohol-based mouthwashes that actually kill good and bad bacteria, right? There's something called like bactericidal. So it kills things, very strong, nothing can survive. And, typically they were prescribed in cases of gum disease where someone's got really bad gum disease, can't get under control, use these mouthwashes to just blast everything. And then what happened is teeth got stained, more places for things to catch, and it just proliferated it. And then you get the dysbiosis and the more, the holistic symptoms that come afterwards. But what's interesting is that if you use a more natural mouthwash, and it can be as natural as salt and water, right? Just Himalayan salt in water, and you pure salt in water, and you just rinse it around after you brush your teeth, and that balances the pH, like you're saying, and then that pushes the teeth into remineralizing rather than demineralizing and breaking down.
Yeah.
But from a holistic perspective, you don't want to be using mouthwash that's strong, killing bacteria daily. And I don't really even use it for my patients that have dental disease, because we use more targeted herbs mouthwashes and essential oil mouthwashes that are same thing, but don't kill everything, create an unfavorable environment for the bad bacteria, but a positive one for the positive bacteria. Gentle, I think, in general and in moderation is the thing that I kind of do. But let's say for me, and we're going to talk about coconut oil pulling, I'm sure, but I do that in the morning, and then I use my mouthwash to bind to the coconut oil because it's a fat, and mouthwash obviously attracts to that, and then spit that out afterwards. So I'm cleaning away the oil from my teeth, and I'm getting rid of the bacteria, and I'm balancing it a bit as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I was in a pretty good habit of oil pulling for a while, and I just kind of went into it blindly. I didn't just like it was big in the biohacking world. It's the cool thing to do, and I tried it out, and your mouth just feels healthier, I think, when you're doing it regularly. So, and that essentially, it's just the coconut oil is like a friendlier kind of like substance for the microbiome, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. Again, it's natural, very gentle.
Yeah.
It is still bacteria static. It's antifungal. It's antiviral. But it also creates a bit of a sheen on the teeth to stop plaque and calculus sticking on as easily.
Right.
So your body's, and also the studies actually show that when you mix the coconut oil with the saliva, the coconut oil traps it, the saliva, the immune cells kill it. So it actually supports it. It can't build up into those biofilms. And
oh wow.
Biofilms are, when you've got like a clump of bacteria somewhere, that the middle ones are protected by the outside ones,
right.
but the coconut oil actually separates that and moves them on.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's pretty good. And if you read some books called, I think it's just called Oil Pulling, and it's, some of the testimonials that he's written about in that book are just crazy with people curing diseases and stuff. But
wow.
I guess in a way, if you did have dental disease in your mouth and root canals that were infected and maybe infections in the jawbone, that you're oil pulling, you're pulling it into the oil because oil is fat loving, obviously, and our cells have a layer of fat around them. So then they can dip into things that waters couldn't. Yeah. So maybe you are pulling things out. Maybe you're spitting that into the bin, and maybe it's lowering your toxin threshold in the day. Yeah.
That's awesome. What do you recommend, or what do you do in terms of like I think I was doing it for like 10 or 15 minutes, which is like the protocol I found. Is that time, how time sensitive is it?
Yeah. So for me, I aim for 20, but I never time it. But by the time I get up in the morning and I will brush my tongue, and then I'll pop a teaspoon of coconut oil, and maybe I'll add a drop of oregano oil or thyme oil or thieves or On Guard, and I will be swishing around. And I don't check the time, but I know I probably put that in about 6:10. And by the time I finish, probably about 6:50 because I'm making my food for the day. I'm taking the dog out for a run. I'm making sure I'm nasal breathing. So while I'm doing it, I'm doing other things. I'm not just focused on my swishing, but I'm doing it consciously when I remember.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that's a nice segue to my next point. You talk about nasal breathing, we know that there's health benefits of nasal breathing in terms of helping us reach that parasympathetic state, but there's also specific benefits like to our oral health. So talk through some of those benefits, or maybe the detriments of mouth breathing.
Yeah, gosh, it's so true, isn't it? So yeah, holistically and obviously systemically, nasal breathing mixes with nitric oxide. It goes into our blood together. We take in less oxygen, but we utilize more oxygen in our system because of the nitric oxide, which activates the rest and digest, dilates the blood vessels, gets it to places where it can be. The carbon dioxide then can offload because it's at the right balance of the hemoglobin and the oxygen. So yeah, it's better. And so if you're not nasal breathing, you're obviously mouth breathing. And if you're mouth breathing, specifically for the mouth, you are evaporating the saliva, right? And the saliva contains minerals to remineralize our teeth. Right. So if you're chronically mouth breathing, your teeth are never getting remineralized. Right. On top of that, if you do mouth breathe, and specifically if you mouth breathe at night, it means your tongue has to be in your lower jaw. And if your tongue has to be in your lower jaw, it's going to be pushed further into the airway because it should be right in the roof of the mouth, lifted out of our airway. Yeah. And if we are mouth breathing, that means we're more likely to clench and grind our teeth. And if we're more likely to grind our teeth, and we're not remineralizing our teeth because the saliva is not getting there, they're weaker, they're more vulnerable to decay. So it's like a whole thing. And then of course you're changing the microbiome balance as well, because you're completely evaporating everything and allowing things to fester and plaque to not be washed away. So then you're getting more anaerobic bacteria closer to the tooth that is the more disease causing ones as well, or in the gum lines, for example. Right. That's enough reason for me. That's awesome. It's just I think it's a tough habit, especially exercising. It's like a challenge, but I've been trying to do it more when I'm out on walks and stuff like that. It's just, I've broken my nose a few times. So it's an ongoing battle with me, but. Have you tried the nasal dilators? I have. Yeah. I use them occasionally. I try not to rely on them, but they've been good. And it's, my partner likes them a lot because I snore less. But absolutely. I wear them every night now. Oh, really? Yeah. No, it's a game changer for sure.
let's talk about a little bit more about that biofilm and plaque management. I know that the pH or the acidity is a huge factor there. And I've seen remedies from other clinicians recommending like baking soda and hydrogen peroxide as a sort of pH balance option. Have you tried that yourself, or do you recommend that? Or what do you recommend specifically if people are starting to get that plaque buildup when they're in between visits?
Well, the most obvious thing to do is brush the teeth where the plaque's building up, because the only thing that actually removes the plaque is the mechanical. Yeah, absolutely. But to stop that building up, I honestly, most of my patients is lips together, tongue to the roof, breathe through the nose, because your saliva does the job for you. We're built to last, right?
Yeah.
So that then washes your plaque away. If you've got good oral hygiene and brushing routine, and you've got no mouth breathing, no clenching, then your teeth are going to last an absolute lifetime, especially with the way that we look after them now and the foods that we don't eat like our ancestors did.
Yeah.
But I simply just have a bottle of water everywhere I go. And after each meal, put a mouthful of water in, swish it around. We know water's neutral, swallow it.
Yeah.
That's all I do. It's as simple as that.
That's brilliant.
If you want to really take it to the next level, add salt in there, or like you say, bicarb soda. Yeah.
I love that. And water's and price is right usually for most places in the world anyways, for water. Amazing. So you've kind of talked about a few different habits that you recommend. Do you have like a default routine? If someone's like just either they've come out of a coma, they've lost everything, what do you tell people as like, what are the key elements to put into like a daily routine for your kind of dental health?
So for sure, the tongue is mostly overlooked, and the tongue has little hairs on it, and food gets caught in there, and bacteria then can proliferate in there. So definitely tongue brushing, scraping, morning and night, easily. I 100% recommend brushing the teeth before you sleep at night, because you've eaten food all day.
Yeah.
Now, I actually don't brush my teeth in the morning because I choose oil pulling over brushing, and I believe in the benefits of plaque as well.
Oh, interesting.
So I oil pull in the morning with my essential oil in there, and then I use my mouthwash afterwards, and that's my morning routine. But if you're worried about anything, please just brush your teeth afterwards, and you only do that if you're sure that you've got no dental disease. In the evening, it's really important you clean in between your teeth, and there's a few different things that I do. It's either using the little brushes because I know how to use them and I don't poke and make my gums bleed.
Yeah.
Or I use a water jet or water pick and just go around the whole gum line across all of the teeth, inside and out, both sides. And that's a really gentle way of doing it. I wouldn't say do that 7 days a week, but I'd say maybe do that 3 or 4 days a week and do the brushes or the easy picks the other time, which are more gentle on the system.
Yeah. That's it sounds like a more kind of practical option to flossing, I guess, especially if you have, like, I have the retainer walls in the back of my teeth, which makes flossing a huge pain in the ass. Is that like typically what you recommend, just the picks?
Yeah, the flossing for me, canine to canine, is the only place we should really be flossing. The other places further back, because the teeth have concavities within the roots of them, floss, if you just go up and down, it just misses the inside part.
Right. Yeah.
So you need those tiny little bristles or easy picks to push it out.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. The last thing I want to talk about before we shift into kind of your specific practice is, so to me, functional dentistry is a relatively new practice. And I know there's still like conventional, and we know that the issue of using biocompatible materials is becoming more and more important, especially kind of clinically. Talk through the importance of even some of the tools, maybe what we're exposing a mouth to, and the importance of finding a dentist who's on board with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, we've talked about the microbiome a lot, haven't we? Yeah. And obviously, when you've got the wrong materials in your mouth, it influences, like, for example, metals. Metals influence fungus growth, bacterial growth, and they have a high affinity for that. So you're going to be pushing uphill to try and get back to a place of health again, right?
Right.
It's not, for me, it's not a big bang. You fix your teeth, you get everything back, you're back to normal. What you've got to then do is realize that you've turned off the tap that's been dripping for how many years.
Just keep chipping away at it.
Keep chipping away at it and keep detoxing, keep working, keep cleansing, restoring, keep balancing, keep using oral probiotics. Things eventually do come good. And I always tell to my patients, if you take a step back and look 6 months ago, look at the difference. Don't think day by day when you have a bad day, because it changes things. But
true.
I mean, metals in the mouth for me don't really have a place, especially now with all the newer inventions, because we use zirconia and quartzy glass type materials for crowns, and we use even ceramic implants and zirconia implants, and we even have BPA free plastic fillings now, which are better than obviously the BPA plastic fillings, which don't mimic estrogen in the system. So they're really the materials you want to be using in the mouth. And obviously less is more, because obviously there's more influence. Nothing's perfect in dentistry. Your teeth are the best. So obviously you've got to try and look after your teeth the best, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Awesome. That's fantastic. What do you have on tap for the rest of 2022 in terms of, your like practice, your plans, education plans? What's going on for the rest of the year for you, Dr. Seb?
It's a good question. I feel like I'm doing far too much at the moment, but I absolutely love it. And I'm working clinic 4.5 days, 7 till 7 most of those days. And then I am really focusing on bringing online courses, I think, to people to manage their either detoxification from these places they've been, but also I've talked a bit about the airway, how we can stabilize the airway to get a better sleep, to do less snoring, to increase our resilience to upper airway resistance syndrome, and to get a deeper, more restful and regenerative sleep, to actually, because that's the time where we build back. And if we don't do that at night, then we're starting from a less point than the day before, because we're constantly depleting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I really want to focus on getting some courses out and across. And I recently, 6 months ago, I think I started some online sessions with people, and it's been really mind-blowing to see how much influence I can have for patients all around the world.
That's amazing.
And push things into a positive way that maybe they may not have thought before, right? Which has just been absolutely, mind-blowing. So I thought, how can you do dentistry online? But it's working, and it's helping them make those decisions, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's it, really. I'm in the process of setting up a clinic down south of England, and trying to break away from I need a team around me. So there's lots of things happening to help more people, and all the wheels are in motion, but it's an exciting year, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's wild to me that so much is available online, right? You kind of talked about dentistry, but if you told me you could do personal training online, and that's like blowing up now, right? It's wild. It's just like people need the consultation, the face-to-face, and you can kind of do that with virtually any discipline. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Sebastien, I want to finish up with your kind of personal priorities around your health, wellness, and fitness. Obviously, we talked a lot about dentistry. Maybe that is the top of the list, but if you kind of make a list of priorities, what's at the top right now? And what do your habits look like around that?
Oh, well, I'm like you. Biohacking is a big thing for me. So I, most mornings to get out and see the sun, or when it's sunny in England anyway, I, go for a quick run and movement and do a bit of a HIIT session for about 20 minutes just to get the lymphatic system working and draining. I do a detox from Monday to Friday afternoon pretty much every day, because I'm removing a lot of heavy metals. I'm in that environment where I'm dealing with mercury from fillings and things like that. So I take my liver detoxification and my heavy metal detoxification quite seriously. And I love the celery juice. So I do that Monday to Friday to help with the liver. I do heavy metal smoothies with, your chlorella, your seaweed, and things that bind, and cilantro and coconut water. I then have another liver support smoothie. And then in the evenings, I'm very, don't get me wrong, I do have refined sugar rarely, but I don't really eat sugar. I don't eat gluten. I don't eat dairy. And if I do, I have my enzymes. I take quite a lot of supplements to support my cellular processes. And I've got into more mineral balancing recently, with trace minerals and things like that. And I feel great on it. And I've cut down a lot of my other supplements that I was doing, and I just focus on more whole food. I don't really take anything that's not anymore.
Yeah.
I do have an infrared sauna, so I kind of do that 3 or 4 times a week.
Nice.
I have a vitamin D lamp, like a little spurty, I think it is.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of air breathing, meditation, resistance breathing training as well with the AeroFit. I don't know if you've heard of that.
It sounds familiar. I can't
it's something you put in your mouth and you change the resistance in the in-breath.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So that's kind of what I focus on, and then just having fun at the weekends, relaxing a little bit more with diet, but trying to live life as well as being,
amazing.
Committed.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a solid list. Love that. Well, Dr. Seb, this has been an amazing chat. What's the best place for people to follow more about your content?
Oh, thank you, Craig. Yeah, it's well, I guess I am in the process of getting a new website. That's also working, but my website with generic information is like wonderofwellness.co.uk.
Okay.
And then obviously I do a lot on Instagram. Really, that's my main platform, and that's biological_dentist. And of course, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to reach out. That's not a problem at all.
Amazing. Well, appreciate the time. It was a great chat.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in this episode of Healthspan Academy, and we'll see you next time. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. This has been a fun project. We're growing in viewership every single week, and we obviously couldn't do that without you. So thank you for continuing to tune in. I really hope you're getting value out of the programming and the content. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I've been working on a book on health and longevity the last couple of years, been collaborating with my colleague, Dr. Dan Vitale, who's an expert in the field as well. And we've basically just kind of summarized the literature, some of the techniques that we found really useful in the world of biohacking, what our exercise regimen looks like, what's, cardio type stuff is going to help us live longer and healthier, mobility work, nutrition. We've covered the whole spectrum, everything that you can basically be in control of in your health and fitness kind of moving forward to help you live as healthily as possible for as long as possible. And it's available free for download. So if you click on the YouTube banner, you'll see a link to download the blueprint. It's also on our Instagram profile or on the website. You can click on 5pillarmethod.com/optimize to get your free copy of the book. And I hope you enjoy it. Hope you're keeping well. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.